Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning.
Missed you.
Yes.
How are we doing, Rabbi?
Very good.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Get this over here. No. Okay. Good morning. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Hilchos Geneva Perek Revi'i. We're going to move on in this chapter to someone who did not steal something directly from the hand of his fellow, but he was made into a custodian, made into a shomer. And then when the owner of the article comes to collect this article, the shomer claims that it was stolen from him. And we will see in this chapter also the halachas of what happens if someone steals, but they return that article without the knowledge of the owner. Is it considered returned or is it not considered returned? This chapter has 12 halachas, beginning with halacha aleph. Says that Rambam hatoyen shenignav hapikoden mibeisay. If a person, again, we're speaking about a watchman, right? He's claiming that the entrusted article was stolen from his home. Now that's a taina that makes him exempt. So says that Rambam im nishbam, if the shomer made the oath, and this is one of the three biblical oaths, as we learned right in Hilchos Chidas, he has to swear, number one, that it was taka stolen from him. He has to authenticate his claim with the oath, and he also has to swear that he was not a posheya, because even a shomer chinam is going to be chayiv if he were to be negligent. So when he makes those oaths, which means now he's exempt to give back the value of the article and its value to the owner. And then if witnesses come and they prove that his taina and his shvua was sheker, meaning that the pikadon was always by him. So he also has a din of a ganef, which is, as we have been learning, that not only does he have to return the article or the value of the article, but he also has to be penalized by paying kefil, by paying its value again. That means he pays double. Why? Because but as we'll see in a moment, he's only a ganef because he tained that the article was stolen from him. He had a taina of geneva. Now, furthermore, if after he took that oath falsely that it was stolen, as we just passed, which makes him into a ganef, even though the article came into his hand beheaded. Nevertheless, he has a din of a ganef. If afterwards, as we have been learning, if he shechted that animal or if he sold the animal, so then like any other ganef, mishalem tashlumei arba v'chamisha. Now, let's also remember another din, as we have also explicitly in Chumash Vayikra at the end, that if a person claims he doesn't owe money, the Torah gives 5 examples. One of them is, person is a shomer. In this case, he claims a shomer chinam. He's spotted for geneva v'aveda. He claims that the nignaf mimen, it was stolen from me. He takes an oath. Then he's moida. Not edim kam. The Torah writes, he's mishalem keren v'choimish v'karbanashim. Right? Asham gezelos. Even though gezela is a very generic word in that context. So now says that Rambam, the Edim maybe Asham al pi Edim al shvu asai. That's the whole word. That the whole din of paying the keren the choimish and the karbanashim is only when you're moida. The moment Edim kam, which is our case over here, he's excluded from the din of paying the choimish. He is included in the din of paying kefil. The Edim maybe choimish. And this is a big cloud that Rambam is going to say here, and we're going to have many other halachas which come out of this rule. There's never going to be a case where you're going to be penalized both with the choimish and with kefil. No, it's Edim came and they said that you ganvit. The moment that happened, you have a din of a ganef. You have a din of a ganef, you have to pay kefil. The moment you have to pay kefil, it's not shaykh for you ever to pay a choimish. The din of a asham, which comes with the choimish, is also not relevant. Now, what happens if Edim came before you took an oath? Then in other words, the whole din that you have to pay kefil is only when you swore. And let's not forget, like we spoke out in the intro, that geneva normally means that the article came into the hands of the ganef be'isim. He's a ganef. He's a shomer. Here it's different. It came into his hands beheaded. Elamai, he becomes a ganef only if he takes an oath. If he tainas falsely without the oath, he doesn't have a din of a ganef. Of course, he has to give back the article, but he doesn't pay. He doesn't pay the kefil. He only pays the keren. Halacha beis. All of the entire halacha. That's only shenishba kodim sheishlach yodev apikodim. That's only if he took an oath, his false oath, prior to him misappropriating that entrusted article. Think about it. If a guy is planning, God forbid, to say that it was stolen, to take a shvua sheker that it was stolen, why is he doing it? Because he wants to use it. So let's forget about his taina for a second. Any shomer. A shomer who's not planning to keep it. A shomer means that I was entrusted to watch something, I may not use it. If I use it, actually we're going to learn not only if I used it, if I moved it to use it. Imagine. That's called I was sheleach yad. I automatically become a gazlan with many other halachas. Like for example, I'm going to be chayiv even for an oinus gomer, like a gazlan. I'm a gazlan. I got to give it back. Oh, so if he was sheleach yad v'tikadin avalam shalach b'yad, and then v'ton tainis ganav v'nishba, and Aiden came, he won't have to pay kef. Why is that? Because of what we just mentioned. The moment a person is sheleach yad, he owns it. V'haraya, he's chayiv and achrayis, even for an oinus, like a gazlan. Now, if that shomer became a gazlan cannot later become a ganef. One of the big differences is a gazlan only has to pay keren. A gazlan will never pay kefil. The ganef pays kefil. So this person, shekiva shesholach b'yad, is chayiv boy. He's chayiv to return it, and he acquired it. The meaning of acquiring it means that he's chayiv and achrayis even for an oinus, and therefore he will never be chayiv to pay kefil. Halacha gimel v'chein. Another nuance. Hatoy and tanas aveda b'apikadon v'nishba. You know, when we learn about the different categories, like the shomer chinam, he's going to be pater and geneva va'aveda. Shomer socher is chayiv geneva va'aveda. That's another taina. Either it was stolen from me or I lost it. This din that is chayiv kefil is only when he tained nignav. If he tainas aveda, which has the same consequence, because if I'm a shomer chinam, Reuven is a shomer chinam. Reuven says that avda mimeni, and it's sheker, and he takes an oath. You would have thought, okay, he's a ganef. I mean, he's saying something, he's swearing based on that shvua. He's not chayiv to do anything. Then Eidim will come and say, no, it wasn't lost. You have it. Oh, Chazar. 1 second. So first of all, the din is that in the taina of aveda, you will not pay kefil. Of course, if Eidim come and they say that you're lying, you have to give back the article. But the din of kefil, since it came into your hand, beheaded is only when the taina was genev. So atkan, you're not chayv to pay kefil. Now listen to this. After you took the first false oath through Reuven, that aveda v'chazar v'ton tainas ganav v'nishba, then he makes another taina, and he takes and Eidim come. Even here, he'll be pater from kefil, and that's the v'chein. What's the v'chein? In other words, just like we said by a person is sheleach yad, once a person becomes a gazlan, later, no matter what happens, they'll never become a ganav. Once the person becomes a gazlan by claiming that avda, and that's not where you chayiv kefil, that's it. Then pater min kefil. Shekvar yotza pikadim idea ba'olam mishvor rishoina, which is amazing. And here again, the word is that once he claims aveda, he has a din of a gazlan. That's the pshat. And once he has a din of a gazlan, he will never be chayv to pay kefil. These are gewaldige halachas. Halacha dalet. Now, hatoy and tainas ganav. Ba'aveda v'nishbam. So now we're going to go into another case. What's the case? A person finds a lost article. Remember that whole sugya? What's the din of a person who's going to return a lost article? Is he a shomer chinam? Is he a shomer sacher? Right? I think it's Rabbi Yosef. Why would it be a shomer sacher? What's the shomer sacher? He has to make an effort to return it. So that we pass in Taka, I think it's like Rabbi Yosef. He said, "Didn't have a shomer sacher because cha'isik b'mitzvah, pater ben mitzvah." Imagine when I'm a shomer aveda, if someone at that moment is coming to ask me for a few dollars, I can exempt myself because I'm oisik b'mitzvah. So that's why I'm a shomer sacher. If you like that, if you don't like it, we have to like it. That's the din. So now, if a person is a toin tanas ganav ba'aveda, and then nishba, and v'chakach bo edim shu aveda b'reshus v'shekatan, gavaldik. So here also mishalom tashlumi keif. In other words, a shomer aveda is a shomer. So the same halacha will apply. And actually, the Rambam says that is hinted to in the pasuk in Parshas Hashoimrim. I'll call aveda. I'll call aveda is lerabbis, a person who's a shomer aveda. But now another nuance. When is that shayach for who sheyita and shenikna probabilista mezuyim? That's only if he tained a taina which would have made him exempt. Don't forget again, if a shomer, we paskin that a shomer aveda is a shomer sachar, you can ask, what do you mean he taina is ganav? So what? Shomer sachar is chayv and geneva. It doesn't make sense. No, it makes sense because sometimes, even though the Tanoim use the word geneva, the Gemara says that it can mean listim mezuyim. Listim mezuyim means an armed robber. If someone was held up with an armed robber, dinoi not keganav, but that's called an oinus. So that must be the case. Shu oinus upatet. Aval, if a shomer aveda tainet the normal nigneva below oinus, he'll be pater from kefil because that's not a tainet that would have exempted him at all. Because we paskin shomer aveda is keshomer sacharu. But as will be explained, next, Rambam is going back to the watchman. That was the opening of this chapter. Opening of this chapter. So at can we learn this person is chayiv kef. Then this chacham, okay, so the Beis Din paskin pay back, give this back, and you're penalized. Then this genius went ahead and he tied it again. I can't give you back the article because it was now stolen from me. He is a neba. He has a machla. He keeps on making the same false claim and he keeps on swearing. There was a shvur edim. For every time.
How many times can he take an oath?
He's like an alcoholic. He can't help himself. So the din is chayiv kefil. I'll call taina. The guy's chayiv kefil is not chayiv keren v'kefil. You chayiv one keren, and for every false oath, kefil. So the Rambam Pashat spells it out. Meaning that he'll pay 6 times the article. You understand? Not 10 times. Nimsa mishalam shisha hakeren once shehufkad etzloi. And by the way, he gives back the article itself, and then. V'chamisha bekeren mishum chamisha kefela shel chamish voice. Halacha vav po antanas ganav v'nishban. Again, the opening case of this chapter, and v'chazer v'to antanas aveda v'nishban. That after geneva he tainas aveda, and as the Rambam paskin tainas geneva tainas aveda with a shvua makes him into a gazlin, not into a ganev. And then ubo edim shaloi nignav. And now, v'hoida hu shaloi avad. And don't forget, guys, that normally, like we said, that's the end of Parshas Vayikra. If a person makes any claim which will exempt them from paying something that they owe, then they are moida on their own. Kenen choimish asham gezelos. Elama, what did we say? That in the case where a person is chayiv kefel, you can never be chayiv kefel and a choimish. Oh. So here, when the Eidim came, Shaloi Nignav, he's Chayiv Kefel. Now, if he's Moide Shaloi Avad, here again another application of this rule, because of the first false oath. And we have this cloud. Whenever you Chayiv Kefel, you're not going to be Chayiv Choimish. He was Moide Shaloi Avad. Normally, for that, you'll be Chayiv Keren V'Choimish, not over here. Because of the rule, and now we're going to take this rule and we're going to give a scenario where the Gemara has a suffix what the halacha will be, which will be halacha zayin, which is if a person, the owner, masar shoyre l'shnayim, he gave over his ox to 2 people. There are 2 shoyim, and both of them together tainet ganev falsely, and both of them got Rahman al-Islam, they took the oath. Now, what would be? Remember, if Adam Kam, Chayv Kef. If they're Moide, Chayv Choimish. Here there are two people. What happened was, V'hoida Echad Behem, one was Moide, that would be Machayv him the Choimish. The other one, it has Adam, saying it wasn't big enough, you guys still have it. So, for sure, they both together have to pay the Kedem. Question is, do we apply the klal that it's either Choimish or Kefil and not both? Maybe yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. Because it's two different people. It's not the same person. Since this is a question in the Gemara that the Rambam is not taking a decisive side, it remains a suffix. Meaning a suffix, the rule is by mom and amoitze mechaveri all of araya. So that one, right, against whom are Eidim, that loy nignaf doesn't have to pay the kefil, but if the owner chaps the kefil from him, now the owner becomes the muhsar. The im trafas bala pikadin esa kefil ein mitzin meyadoi. Now for sure, zesh oida b'shalom chaimish. He was the first guy. In other words, the first case was that one of the parties was moida kishar hanishboim shvos hapikadin shehoidu ma'atzim. And by the way, it's not only a chaimish; it's a chaimish and the hasham gezelos for sure. Shaila is with the kefil. Halacha ches. Bal hapikadin shetrava es hashomer. And the shomer claims the nishba shenignav. And then v'char kach hukar haganov. Now this was a emezdika oath, truthful oath. And now we discovered the ganev. Now to whom does the ganev have to pay? Now, who owns the article? The owner, the Bala Pikad. Will the owner allow the shomer to represent him? If the shomer never did anything wrong, just like the owner entrusted the article in the hand of the custodian, then the owner will allow the custodian, that's what Chazal say, to represent him to collect it, because he never violated that trust. So then, the Tava has shomer as a ganov, if the shomer went to collect from the ganov, and v'hoidolei a ganov sheganov, here's the problem, that if the ganov was moide, the din is moide, beknas pater. The ganov was moide to the shomer. Is the hoidah to the shomer going to exempt the ganov from the kef? It depends. Is the shomer halachically the representative of the owner? Then yes, he was moide to the owner. If he doesn't represent the owner, just because he was moided to the ganav, that hoidah doesn't mean anything. That's going to be the thing. So in the case where the shomer never violated this trust, the ganav was only moided to the shomer. Even if later the owner comes to the ganav, and when the owner comes to the ganav, he's a kafa. Means he was moided, but he didn't pay it. So the shomer says, listen, I found the guy, he was already moided that he stole, go. The guy is kaifer. And then about bo edim sheganav. So in the emes nishba hashomer, if when the shomer took an oath, it wasn't only that it was emes that it was stolen, but as we'll give an example in a moment, all the details were true. In other words, the shomer didn't violate any of the trust, which means that when he went to collect, he was taka halachically representing the owner. So therefore, the hoidah of the ganav exempted the ganav from the kefil. Ishatan shenignav. Then niftar aganav min hakefil b'hoidiyos ala shomer. Even though later he was kaifer to the owner, he will never have to pay the kefil. But im b'sheken nishba means even if it was taka stolen, but a detail of where it was stolen or how it was stolen was something that the guy swore b'sheken. That's the meaning b'sheken. It was stolen, but there was some sheker that happened in the oath. Doesn't matter if the owner knows about it or not. That's about what the Oivishter knows. In other words, the moment the shomer did something abyssal dishonest, even if it would have no halachic consequence, he no longer represents the Bala Pikad. So the hoidah to the shomer is garnished. The ganef was kaifer to the Bala Pikad. So there's a suffix here again because of the suffix. Ein mitzinas hakefil min haganav, but the im tofsu aba olam hakefil ein mitzim yadam, because the owner is going to claim. No. I discovered it has to be that he claims that I discovered that there was a nuance in the oath that was sheker. He never represented. The hoidah was not didn't pater him from the kefil. He's chayv to pay the kefil. Now So the owner asked, go pay up. You don't have the article, pay me. And the guy didn't want to take an oath. He paid him. Then we discovered a ganef. And as we learned in Al-Choshe Elam Pikadin, guys, remember this? We learned this in Cheder. So what's the din? Bahamafkit, right? Everyone. So the din is now the ganef. That's the first mission there. The ganef has to pay the kefil to the shomer because the shomer paid the money to the owner. The owners already got paid, but the owners went after the ganef. The opposite now. And the hoydolahem shaganef. No, the ganef is moided to the owner. Yeah, I stole it. But don't forget, the owner's not getting the money anyways. The owner already got the money from the shomer. The shomer comes to collect. When the shomer comes to collect, in the case where the ganef now was koifer, he denied it to the shomer. Here again, there's a safek whether the hoida'ah that the ganef gave to the Baal HaPikadon exempted him from kefil, or do we say no, the owner is mandachar shemei, doesn't belong here anymore. He's out of the picture. Because to the safek, ein mitziin kefil min haganef. But ve'im tafas hashomer, who's the halachic rightful recipient, if he chapped that double, the kefil from the shomer, ein mitziin miyadai. Here again, there's a doubt. V'chein adin, if after the tainas geneva and the shvur, whenever there's a chiyuv of kefil, if later there was tficha or mechira, same thing. V'chein adin b'tashlumei abar v'chamisha im tava chagana for imachar. Same thing. So we have a doubt whether you chayiv the kefil. If you're not chayiv the kefil, then if the next step was tficha or mechira, you're not going to be chayiv that as well. So the same suffix we had on the kefil really extends to the next step if there was a next step. And here also because of the suffix, ein moitzin meyadai ve'im tafas, then the shomer gets to keep it. Halachana. Hatoyin tanas ganaf shel cotton. So the owner, guys, the owner is a cut, and he entrusted a shomer, and the shomer now is taining that nignav. But he's not making that time against the man, he's making it against the minor. Meaning, meaning, even if when he came to collect, now he's a gadol. The oath was made against the gadol. The cotton means is that when the article was given to the shomer at that time, the owner was a minor. This will be the exception of the opening of this chapter. Why? Because it says in Parshas Mishpatim, "V'chiiten ish el re'eyu." We are looking at the time of the giving of the article, of the entrusted article, and ve'ein nesinas cotton klum, meaning v'tzarech shetia nesina utvia shamim begadol. Avada, he has to give back the article, doesn't belong to him. But the penalty, don't forget, leibali yade be'isur. He was a shomer. We are including it like the case of a ganef. It doesn't include the case where the owner was a cotton when he gave the article to the shomer.
Rabbi, is it cotton treated as an orphan?
No, nothing. No. Makes no difference. So we spoke before about shlichus yad. So what happened was a person, Reuven is the shomer. Reuven decided to steal it. But imagine, it was already in his possession. But he moved it from one location to the other, from one pocket to the other. Pocket, that's the act of geneva, as the Rambam gives two examples. Keep going. The owner had a whole herd, and he gave it to Reuven. Reuven liked one shepsela, and his Yetzer Hara got the better of him, and he took that shepsela from the herd, which is in his property, to another corner in his property. Or Vesela from the purse that fully belonged to someone else, he took out one coin. But don't forget, the kiss wasn't his rishus, and he left it in his rishus. So first of all, im yesh olav edem chayev b'keif, as we have been learning. Now, afal pi shehechzir hasel l'mekayim evatlele edroi. Now the Rambam is writing another halach. And that's bigger than only the case of Geneva, as the Rambam will give details in a moment. Right? When it comes to monetary violations, the good part of it is that many times you can rectify it. You return it. Question is, Bechlal, do you have to let the owners know that you returned the article? That's going to be the bigger topic now. And we're going to see depends. Every case is a case. So first of all, says the Rambam, because once he's considered the ganef, either give back the article, or even if an aveda happened, an oinus happened, he's going to be chayiv to pay back the money, like the din of any ganef. A ganef cannot steal and say, "Ooh, I would do tshuva and I would give it back," but an oinus happened. I'm sorry, give it back. Give back the value. Until it's only returned not when he just put it back into that kiss, when he notified the owners. Shaharei, since he's no longer a shomer. From the moment that he gathered it, he doesn't have a din of a shomer. So it's not enough for him just to put it back in the place, to the place where he was guarding it from. He is chayiv to notify the owners. Now, the Rambam is going to make this big contrast between the case of a shomer and an ordinary person who steals something and then returns it. And don't forget, a watchman already has a chiyuv of custodianship on even the shomer chinam. He has to watch it. So therefore, in this case, across the board, if he stole it, he has to notify the owners. The other person, as we will see, didn't begin with the responsibility to the owner, so there will be a certain leniency. And let's read it inside. Not the case of a shomer, stam haganav. And the Rambam is giving an example not of stealing a living animal, which will be different, but something inanimate, a doimim, a coin. Then he does tshuva, and he returns it. So there's two things. Chavim. Did the owner know that it was stolen? Did the owner not know that it was stolen? The Rambam is here only going to address the case where the owner knew it was stolen. The owner knew it was stolen. Elamah, the owner doesn't know that it was returned. So if he found out that it was stolen, but he doesn't know that it was returned, then adayin haganav chayiv v'achre yusay achiyim nesma oisav. Then he's going to be chayiv no matter what, until when the owner will count his money, meaning until when the owner will discover that it was returned. But let me word it like this. Right, a person is counting his purse. That's the presumption. You know you have $100 in your wallet, and you found out that someone stole $1. There's only 99. If the owner counts the money and he sees 100, doesn't matter that he doesn't know who returned it. The moment he knows that it was returned, then the ganav is no longer chayv and achrayis. But if the owner did not recount it, even though he actually returned it, he's still going to be chayv and achrayis. Mana eskisoy matzoy shalom haminyan. Then it's like going to be potter. Now, what's going to happen if the owner never knew it was stolen? Then he doesn't even have to count it. All of this is unlike by the shomer. When the shomer stole this article from the herd, or from the kiss, and he put it into his other pocket, the owner never knew he did it. We're more machmir by the shomer, but you were already chayiv to the owner. You began the chiyuv. It's ironic. Here you would say it's much worse. Here you stole it. No. If a person stole something and they gave it back and the owner never knew, afilu minyan and itzarech ella kivin shehachzira lemekaymai nifter ma'achri. You'll say with one exception, which will be the final halach. Just say by heart, it's a very logical thing that an inanimate thing is one din. Once an animal, a living animal, if a living animal was removed from the herd of the owner, first of all, he already knows a way out. Second of all, he was under the care of the ganef or of the gazlan. And every owner treats animals different. They interact differently. The owner needs to know that it was stolen and returned. Even if he never knew it was stolen, he needs to know that this was stolen and returned, because if he won't know that, he's not going to give it extra care. And if he won't take extra care with this animal might run away. Halacha Yud Beis, final halacha. As an example, and the owners know about it, and you gave it back. And the owners counted their shepsala. They know it was returned. but you never notified him. No, 1 second. That he didn't know. 1 second. But if he counted it and now he sees it was returned, he's potter. In other words, since he knew it was stolen, now he knows it was returned. He knows that one of these animals need to have extra care. It's not going to go out the way the Ganav took them out. He will take the extra precaution to guard it because at least he knew it was stolen and he knew it was returned.
Rabbi,
Hold on 1 second. But for Imlo Yodu, that's the difference. If he did never know that it was stolen, so by the coin, we said very leniently. If a person never knew that he had a coin stolen from his wallet, the Ganav put it back, he doesn't have to notify the owner at all.
So,
here's the opposite. If the owners did not know that it was stolen and they did not know it was returned, it's not good. It's not good because this shepsela is going to escape again. Even though the owner now, he had 100 shepselach and now he has 100, he knows everything is there. Why does the owners have to know? For guardianship over that animal, because the Ganav already taught that animal differently. And it needs now an extra level of Shemitah. And you ba'avel the owners by not telling him. And if anything happens, whether it was because he escaped or anything else, you're chayiv and achayiv.
No, but you can say that about an inanimate object. He needs to know because his wallet was put someplace that it was not being protected. You have to tell him so he takes better care of it.
Why? That's not on the Ganav. That's on the owner b'chlal. Don't leave it. No. I
mean, we're okay, guys. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Let's go. It's late.